All right, Rory.
Mm-hmm.
Rory, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
Virginia. Alexandria.
Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your family growing up.
My family, mom and dad, have 3 sisters, 1 brother. Pretty normal, kind of religious growing up. Kind of strict parents, but I guess kind of normal, just average growing up.
What kind of teenager were you?
Rebellious. Got into a lot of trouble. Had to switch schools a lot. I had a little bit of things happening to me when I was younger, so it kind of caused me to have a little anger and stuff like that. So I acted out a lot. And then I was a good student and things like that, but I just got into a lot of trouble otherwise, But besides that, I kind of got into a lot of trouble, landed myself in jail for quite a while as a kid. So
You graduated high school?
I graduated, yeah, but inside juvenile hall.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And after you were done with school, you did what?
Well, I was in juvenile hall for quite a while, so that's kind of was my teenage years.
What happened in put you in juvenile hall?
When I was 13, I ended up stabbing somebody who was raping my sister, and he passed away, and so I got in trouble for that. And
so you had like juvenile life, they call it?
Yeah. I was
for murder.
supposed to be from 13 to 25 was my original sentence, but for good behavior and stuff, I got out when I was 21. So, yeah.
Wow. So after you got out of juvenile life, you did what?
Then when I was in there for the first about couple of years before I got out, I was writing to somebody as a pen pal, like kind of like a boyfriend type thing. And when I got out, I ended up meeting up with him, and it was like we liked each other at first, but then it turned out to be I moved in with him, and then he turned out to be like a crazy psycho guy. So he was like beating me up and doing crazy stuff to me. So he'd been in prison a few times for beating me up, and so he was just about to get out of prison for like the 6th time, and he was going to get out in a couple of weeks, and I knew he was going to kill me when he got out. So I decided to take the satisfaction from him and do it myself. So I tried to kill myself, and in the meantime of doing that, one of the paramedics to respond to the call ended up to be the husband that I met and married.
Really?
Yeah, right then, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting turn of
right
twists and turns in your childhood.
Yeah.
Were you going through abuse similar to what your sister was going through?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, like verbal, emotional, sexual, mental, physical.
Check all the boxes, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So you got married.
Mm-hmm. With 3 months of knowing him, yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how did that marriage go?
It was amazing. It was wonderful, beautiful. He taught me so much about myself and how to love myself and how to be just a good person and how not to like have the anger and rage like controlling me, and like he was just really like a huge influence in my life, and like just kind of changed me like completely 180, like made me like life again, and just I guess I did a lot of the same for him too, but didn't really realize it. But we're kind of like, I guess you could call soulmates, and just had it was like a storybook romance, and
what was he doing for work?
Originally he was working in TV and music. He was writing music, but previously he'd been an Army Ranger, and so he had a lot of like PTSD or different stuff like that that he was dealing with, but he learned to control it himself, and so we kind of like helped each other because we both had kind of traumas, and we kind of complemented each other, made each other kind of like better, happier people.
So he was what kind of ranger?
An Army Ranger.
Oh, so he went overseas?
Yeah. He was actually part of the Black Hawk Down team that rescued Black Hawk Down. He was part of that movie was about him and his comrades that fell.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he was one of the 2 guys that survived, and the other guy sold his story to the TV, and they made the movie out of that. But my husband didn't want to sell his story because he didn't really want to make money or monetize the fact that he had lost all his, his pretty much brothers and stuff in that. And so he would show me like all the pictures from like what happened to them and stuff. Like it was really like gory and like just all their empty boots and just like blood and guts and stuff like everywhere, And so that really affected him, and he didn't want really anything to do with like, making it public or like telling people, about the story. So a lot of things in the movie that they didn't have was because he didn't tell them, because he didn't want to talk about it. But they just kind of made it up for movies, whatever else they told. But yeah, he was one of them. He had his arm blown off and in that time, and had it reattached, and met the president and did all kinds of crazy stuff back then. So yeah.
And where did that relationship go?
That relationship stayed well and good until he started to become a bit of an anarchist because he kind of realized what the government was about to himself, and he didn't really agree with what, was really going on compared to what he signed up to, serve the country for. And so he kind of started speaking out about it a little bit publicly, and he was going to write a book about, just some stuff that people don't really know about that goes on behind the scenes of the government, I guess, And he was just kind of really speaking out about, certain things that he witnessed and certain things that happened and certain things that happened that weren't really the way they were supposed to be or meant to be or shown to be. And because of that, he kind of got himself a tail from the government and kind of started watching him and stuff. So eventually, long story short, he got arrested and convicted for treason for speaking out against the government. And they jailed him in the ADX in Florence, Colorado, the Supermax underground federal prison.
The really serious one.
Yeah. I guess because he had, abilities to escape from places because he was well-trained and stuff like that. So
he went to the prison where the most...
Yeah, when they keep them underground and all the senses are gone because they keep the lights on 24/7.
It's the most hardcore prison in the country. Right?
Yeah, they call it Alcatraz of the Rockies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they don't want them to know where they're at or anything like that, so they can't make escape plans or do anything like that. And the whole facility is like computer manned. There's no guards and no like chow hall, no rec room, nothing like that. It's like 437 beds of just solitary confinement rooms. The nurse comes to them as a robot, the food comes to them, like everything comes to them. They don't ever leave.
Was it like to be married to somebody in there?
It was interesting. It was weird to be on the other side of it for once because I was always in and having people, communicating with me, and for me to be on the outside and communicating with somebody like that. So I guess I was kind of somewhat familiar with it, but it's very restricted there. Like, so it wasn't as lenient as it was when I was a kid and so he couldn't get a mail a lot, like couldn't have a lot of things that normally you would be able to do. So it was interesting. We had to talk a lot in code or, just be careful about what we talked about but we did talk every day. We wrote each other every day. We had these the books, the composition books, the black and white ones. And he would write a page to me, and then I would get it in the mail, and then I'd write a page back to him and send it back, and then we'd do that back and forth the whole time he was there. So by the time he was finished, we had like 12 books full, just us talking and stuff. So it was kind of cool to look back over, towards the end of things. But
did your history of like your childhood and what happened to you kind of create some kind of connection for him and?
I think so, yeah.
What he went through?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he also had 6 kids by 6 different women previous to me. And I guess because he had a little bit of money to start out, the women were kind of trying to, get his money by getting pregnant by him or having kids by him. But he didn't really like that. And so he would just leave them as soon as they got pregnant. He didn't marry them or anything. He just kind of left them. I mean, he took care of the kids financially, but wasn't really a dad or stayed with the women. So it was kind of a joke that we kind of stayed together because I never got pregnant, and because we had kind of like similar like upbringing or kind of similar traumas, So that being said, yeah, we did have some sort of connection because of our childhoods, because he had kind of a bad one also growing up. So yeah, his was so bad. That's why he actually enlisted in the military, because he wanted to get away from the streets. So I don't know if you know anything about Hollywood, the Children of the Night.
Yeah.
He was a street kid at that time. He was a runaway kid at that time of that movie.
So they gave him like housing, got him off the streets for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, I guess like a lot of similar traumas. Yeah, we were connected. So we did a couple years there, and we stayed in contact and that kind of thing. But yeah, it was interesting being married to somebody. We were together for quite a few years before that happened, but it was interesting. And he thought I was going to leave him when he went to jail, so I wasn't going to leave him. But yeah, but he told me to actually leave him, and I said, no way. So, but he's like, you're young, and you're beautiful, and you have a lot going for you, and I'm going to be here for a while, and I'm just a derelict, and you should just live your life and be happy and just forget about me. And I was like, yeah, right. He was pretty much my everything at that time. I mean, he still was for a long time, but yeah, it was just like, didn't skip a beat, just stayed together, and just, he was in and I was out, and we're still together though,
And you're still together now?
He passed away. Yeah. I mean, I guess in heart we're still together, yeah. But he passed away in prison when he was supposed to be getting out, yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, I have my own theories and conspiracies about it. But supposedly he was killed by another inmate on his way out to be released, which doesn't make any sense of how that could have happened, because it's supposed to be like they don't come in contact with other prisoners. So I don't know if they thought I was dumb or that I was just going to buy that story or what else. But
When was he? How soon before he was supposed to be released did this happen?
The day he was supposed to be released, I take it. I don't know exactly.
The day he was released,
Because I was at the bus stop waiting for him at the Greyhound, in LA, waiting for him to get off the bus coming from prison. And we had already made all the plans and everything. And I was sitting there waiting for quite a while, and he never showed up. And nightfall came, and the next morning came, and I thought, what is going on? I thought maybe the buses got delayed or something. And it's hard to communicate with them when they're en route because they didn't have a cell phone or anything like that, so we couldn't really find out what was going on.
Did you find out how he was murdered?
I did eventually, yeah. At first, they told me that he ran away with another woman and to just forget about him, and that they found communications between him and some other woman, and that he left me. And that wasn't true at all, because, they must not have paid attention to our communication together, because they would have known
you guys were too close.
Yeah, that was not a story that was going to ever fly with me, And they made up an email and sent me an email that was supposedly from him that said, I met someone else and that's life and just get over it. And I'm like, it wasn't even sounding like him, didn't even. So immediately alarms were running off in my head about what is going on here, And it really took them and me kind of hounding them for a couple of days. Even it took 2 weeks to find out what really had happened, And so I was kind of baffled, why did they wait so long to tell me, or what really happened, or how did all this even come to be when they don't come in contact with each other. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions to this day about what happened. That the reason why I kind of went to the streets was because I kind of lost my mind when that all happened, and I just kind of shut the door to my place and walked under the bridge and, tried to forget, tried to just medicate myself or not, I really lost my mind with that situation.
But in terms of the murder itself, were there wounds on his body or what?
Yeah, well, they sent him. He was decapitated, and they sent him home in 2 boxes to me, so I could, bury him and stuff. And it was supposed to come, both boxes were supposed to come on the same day, but his body came first, and then 3 days later, his head came in another box. So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that was partly because I don't know if they were trying to torture me or make me more upset, or I'm not sure why that happened like that, because it seems like they would be pretty efficient about getting the mail to somebody in a certain way like that.
So what is your suspicion that?
My suspicion is that because he was speaking out against the government, and because he was going to write a book, or said he wanted to write a book about certain things, that I believe that they killed him, or somehow the establishment or the facility or something had something to do with his murder, because there's too many questions and too many ways that just doesn't add up, And it seems like the minute he started talking about that, things got shut down, our communications got shut down, and they would hang up the phone on us. And I told him to stop talking about things like that because I just was afraid something like that might happen. And sure enough, it was maybe a month or 2 later after he started talking about writing this book that, he was dead. So I think it was, I mean, I don't want to say on camera to really, I don't want them to come after me like that, but right. I really believe it was the government that, took him out, I guess maybe because he knew too much, or he was going to say too much, or whatever else. But it's just crazy to me that somebody that served our country like that they could do something like that. I mean, there's really no possible way that somebody could have decapitated him in that facility. And I wasn't able to ask all these questions then because I was so distraught and just out of my mind over the whole situation anyways. But now that I'm kind of getting back my wherewithal, I mean, it's been quite a few years, but now that I'm kind of getting my mind back and my senses back and just kind of I decide I'm going to live life again, is that I'm starting to question and maybe be able to actually find out answers, because I can ask them, normally, or, more smartly, or, get somewhere with some kind of answers.
Well, good luck finding out anything on that.
Yeah.
Where you went into a tailspin after that happened?
Yeah, after that happened, I went, that's the whole reason why I went to the streets. That's why I became homeless. Because in the meantime, with them charging him, convicting him of treason, they seized all my assets and his assets and cars and houses and bank accounts and credit cards, and I had nothing. I was in the street with nothing. So even though I had family I could have gone to, I didn't even have the wherewithal to let my family know what was going on. To me, it was so surreal that it wasn't even real, that I couldn't even tell anybody what had happened, I just kind of went into the streets and started using drugs and just, trying to forget about it. And it didn't really become real to me until a few years later, when finally I contacted to my family, I pretty much just disappeared and they didn't know what happened to me. But I contacted them a few years later and I told them what happened, and they were like, we're glad you're okay, but why in the world wouldn't you come to us and let us know what happened? We could have taken care of you and like all this stuff. But like to me, honestly, only thing I can think of was that it wasn't real. It just didn't seem real, you know. And it took me quite a while to get my bearings to realize that it was real, you know.
How many years has it been since?
It's been about 9 years. Yeah.
And you were on the streets for a lot of that?
Yeah, most of that, yeah.
Where are you now?
Now I'm in a hotel waiting for housing with a voucher. I kind of like got picked up by the street team of, you know, the government, the mayor's office.
Getting housing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They put you in a hotel for a while and then you get housing.
Yeah, I've been there about a year, yeah.
Are your drugs still a part of your life?
They are, but not as much as they were, and I'm trying to work on them not being. I would like to go to rehab here pretty soon. They just told me to wait for my housing because they didn't want me to lose my spot. But yeah, I'm ready to be off the drugs and be able to have more of a clear mind to kind of figure out what happened, and, you know, just to get some answers. Because my life has been so distraught without knowing what happened, and like every day and night I just think about what happened and what could have happened and what like I think for me to be any kind of better in my head or my heart, I would just have to know what happened. And I don't know if there's anybody to answer for it or to pay for it or what, but I mean, he was a wonderful, beautiful, great man, and, you know, I just think it's awful that our government, the same people that, you know, employed him to take care of people, are the same ones that could have taken him from us too, you know, just for speaking out about things that were true to, you know.
Yeah, just be careful.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have your dog.
And my dog, yeah. He's been an awesome godsend lifesaver too.
He seems like a really nice dog.
Yeah, he's a rescue, and he has his own story of his own. But yeah, he's helped me a lot actually. He's a registered service animal, so.
What's your dog's name?
Roscoe.
Roscoe.
Yeah, and he's totally cool. He's a great dog. He's been a great companion, so helped me through a lot. And I think I've helped him a little bit too, hopefully. But yeah.
And is your family helping you in any way now?
Yeah, I'm in contact with my family. They help me quite a bit. Yeah. I just, being that I'm an addict or whatever at this point, I don't really like being around to, like, I don't like disappointing them, and, like, you know, like I said, what happened to me when I was younger, like, it didn't really disappoint anybody because they understood why I did what I did, but at the same time, I've just kind of felt like a big disappointment for them. And there's been other times in my life where I have achieved things and done good things and been a good child and a good daughter, but just being so messed up on drugs and having what happened with my husband, I kind of stay away from them, even though they...
Were drugs ever a part of your life until this happened?
Not so much, no. I mean, I dabbled a little bit in juvenile hall, but no. It was really that when my husband passed away that I really sort of kind of lost my mind. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know anything. I just went to the streets and started looking for drugs just to medicate and take away the pain that I was feeling. So.
You have no children?
I have one daughter.
You do?
Yeah.
Where is she?
I had her. She's actually in Orange County right now. She's going to school. She's trying to be some kind of marine biologist, scientist that takes care of the oil rigs and eco-life on the oil rigs in the ocean.
And she's a product of the same...
No, she's a product of a rape when I was younger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is the whole reason why my anger and stuff started with, you know, when I was younger, and why I did what I did to the person that I encountered raping my sister, so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You've got a book or a movie.
I know. Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. Sometimes I wonder why, how am I still alive or whatever, but I know that I have some kind of purpose, you know, deeper than just myself or my family, because there's somebody looking out, because, I mean, I've been through so much stuff, there's got to be some greater reason why I'm here.
Do you feel like there's some kind of...
I do.
Someone protecting you?
I absolutely do. Yeah, something, yeah. And that there's a reason for me to be blessed to keep on having life, and also to have gone through as much as I've gone through and be using the drugs the way that I have in the past, to be able to still be, like, sane-minded and kind of, like, you know, still, like, not talking to myself out there on the street naked, you know?
What did you learn from your time on the streets?
Well, I learned, oh my gosh, so much. Mostly about people.
Because there's some really good people on the streets.
There's some very good people on the streets.
A lot of crazies, but a lot of good ones.
Yeah. Even a lot of the crazies are good people, too.
Yeah.
They just have, you know, people that have just left them, you know, and just forgotten about them, kind of, you know, so.
They're literally just thrown away.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'm fortunate enough to have the family that I have, but I don't understand how people can forget about their loved ones like that, you know.
I think they just get frustrated.
Possibly, you know.
I mean, they become so difficult to deal with.
I understand, yeah.
And there's no sign of them getting better.
Right. But don't they have, like, medication or some kind of treatment or anything that can help them, or they just get so... I guess my family's always been very tight, so I guess I just don't really understand that, but it breaks my heart, really. Because I've met so many people that just, like, if they would have had a second chance or had somebody there, like, was pushing for them, that they probably could have been something great, you know? And instead they're just in the street walking around talking to themselves and nobody cares about them. And like, you'd be amazed what women and men go through out there as far as like the sexual deviance or the sexual assaults against people that just go untalked about or unnoticed. And
At night, it becomes so...
It's scary. It's very scary. It's a totally different place. It's very scary.
A totally different place at night.
Totally different, yeah. And it's not just people that are down there in the homeless areas either. It's people that go trolling in those areas looking for people like us because they prey on us, you know.
Tents are probably a nice thing if you look at it that simply, but
yeah,
what goes on inside those tents,
it's horrible.
Are horrible. It's horrible. Yeah.
I've learned a lot about people and like just not to... Looks aren't everything, you know. There's a lot behind the way someone looks or acts or whatever. Yeah, like you said, when the night comes, it could be a totally different thing. Yeah, it's very scary. I guess I've learned a lot to be more like on my toes or more aware of people or my surroundings or, you know, stuff like that, because I myself have had things happen too. So yeah.
Did your relationship with your sister change after you murdered her?
It did. She actually was mad at me about it.
She was mad at you?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, yeah, because she said that, because I was kind of like a rock between my siblings and I. My older sister's like a beauty pageant winner and a beauty queen, and like my parents didn't really expect much from her except for to be beautiful, and so she's kind of, you know, I guess when parents don't really expect things of people, they don't really get to grow or become anything more than what they were supposed to be. So I was kind of, even though she was the oldest, I was kind of like the oldest because I was, you know, she was doing her being beautiful and then I was second. So it was more like I was the oldest taking care of all the kids and like being the oldest sibling. So my siblings really looked up to me as far as like an older sister or like a caretaker or, you know, a lot of things. And so my sister said when I did that I abandoned them because I took myself out of the picture of like being there for them and like helping them with things or school or whatever it was, you know. And so I'm like, well, I couldn't really have thought that through at that age, you know, and I thought I was doing a good thing for you by rescuing you at the moment, you know. And I mean, I guess later on she, you know, apologized and we are much closer now, but it was strained for the whole time I was in jail. Yeah. And she would tell people about what I had done when I got out and like family dinners and stuff like that. Like, well, we're sitting with a murderer and just all this kind of stuff. And just, yeah, she was strange about how she reacted to it. I still don't understand it, but she just pretty much, her whole voice was that I abandoned her, you know, that she was having a hard time going through what she was going through. And that by me doing that, you know, I took myself out of the picture where I couldn't be a support for her. And I'm like, well, that's kind of strange, but okay, you know.
Rory, what would you say is the most important thing you've learned in all of this?
Learned in all of this?
You've gone through?
Life is short. And to be grateful and thankful for the things that you have and the people that care about you. And not to be so worried about how you think you look to them or feel to them, but just embrace what they have to offer you no matter what, because they're your family. I've been really lucky that way. So a lot of times when I think that I don't deserve them or I don't want to be around them because I don't want to disappoint them, like they tell me like, you know, you're just a drug addict, doesn't make you a bad person. We love you no matter what. You're still a good person, you know. And that means like a lot to me. So I guess I've just really realized that life is short and you don't always get to keep what is good around you, you know, and just to appreciate it really for the time that you have or the moment that you have with people that care about you or that you care about, you know.
All right. Rory, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
I wish you all the luck in the world from here on out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.